The World Cup can sound like something huge, expensive, and far away. But for a lot of people here, the real question is simpler. Where do I fit into this?
And maybe the better question is, how did soccer become something that people here could grow into in the first place?
The world was so different. She didn't know any better. Doesn't watch soccer. Well, seen soccer. You heard about soccer? Yeah, well, you can wear these. And yeah, we laugh when I tell the kids. I said, you guys don't understand. When I played, when I was young, we didn't have sweats.
Today we're talking about access, not just getting to a match and not just knowing the rules, but how a community gets into the game.
Because around here, soccer doesn't just appear overnight, nor did it appear overnight. It grew through people, places, youth leagues, recreation teams, carpools, public spaces, and stories that started small.
And orange slices. And now, as the World Cup gets closer, that same question shows up in a new form.
And how do regular people in Snohomish County take part in something this big?
Maybe you're not going to a match in Seattle. Maybe you don't have tickets. Maybe you're just wondering if this whole thing has anything to do with your family, your neighborhood, or your summer.
A little secret, it does.
From Pitch to Puget Sound starts right now. Welcome to From Pitch to Puget Sound, the limited run series from the Snohomish Podcast Network, getting ready for the 2026 World Cup summer with a Snohomish County lens. I'm Emily.
And I'm Kyle.
This episode is about access and belonging.
And ultimately how people find their way getting into soccer and being a part of it.
And about how communities create those entry points, whether that means a first pair of shoes, a rec team, a public watch party, a train ride, or a family-friendly place to join the moment.
Sometimes the biggest stories start with something small.
Not a packed stadium, not a giant tournament, just one person finding a way in, even with a pair of shoes. The Snohomish Podcast Network is now a member of the Everett Chamber of Commerce, and we're excited. More people should join. And Kyle, have you ever been a member of a Chamber of Commerce?
I have not. I, to be honest, have no clue what the heck a Chamber of Commerce does.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, they advance economic opportunities for local communities. And I would say through networking, resource, and collaborations. And that's why it's so important that we have them here in Everett. They're actually relatively new. We used to have a chamber. It became the Economic Alliance of Snohomish County, but the Everett Chamber is back, and it really does help small businesses get connected. And I can speak to this firsthand. My husband, my spouse, James, he runs Day Electric. I help him out on the business. Last year in Everett, on a whim, I went to their construction and trades mixer. It was awesome. I had a great time. I was like, James needed to be here. So this year in January, they had another one, and I attended. James was late. He was, had a long day at work, was like super disheveled. He got there, he went and made so many friends. And we have months of business with a few different contractors in that space for his electrical business. So it has already paid off. I said, we're going to be members. And he goes, well, hey, I guess that Chamber of Commerce membership paid off. And I was like, I'm amazing. So you can really see the benefit of I'm amazing. Wendy Poischbeg's amazing. She has grown this Chamber of Commerce in 2 years, not even. We will keep talking about all their great benefits as one of our partnering organizations.
Super exciting. For this episode, we had a chance to continue chatting with Peter Hattrup, who we introed in our last episode, and who's lived soccer and the history of this region from the inside.
My mom took us shoe shopping, and as she told the guy in the store, I need something that they can play soccer in and wear to school. And the guy said, I got just the thing. And he goes in the back room, comes back out, and he pulls these things out. They were called waffle stompers. No one's heard of them. You can look them up on the internet, and you'll see they got pictures of them. And he goes, look at the toe on these things. They'll be able to smash it. And my mom goes, perfect. My brother and I went, what? So we literally broke open our piggy banks, got the hammer out, smashed the piggy bank, gathered up our change and our couple dollars and whatever, and went with our neighbor, Tim Please, and his mom, Mrs. Please, drove us up to Fred Meyer on Broadway. And for $6, purchased a pair of Mr. Pro soccer shoes. They were like a fake Adidas. They had 2 stripes on them. They had a little thing in the back where you pulled the shoe up on, which tore off within the first week. But $6, Mr. Pros. I tell my mom, you almost ruined my career before it started. My dad liked to tell me that that's the last pair of shoes I ever paid for. Last pair of soccer shoes. And to this day, he's still right. But the world was so different. She didn't know any better. Doesn't watch soccer. No, it's not seen soccer. You heard about soccer? Yeah, well, you can wear these. And we laugh when I tell the kids. I said, you guys don't understand. When I played, when I was young, we didn't have sweats. Might have a sweatshirt that you wore over your T-shirt when you went to practice. But when I went to practice, if it was really cold, we wore jeans. It was cold. I'm wearing shorts. I remember my first pair of sweats. I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade. They were royal blue with a white and yellow piping down the side. And now I see kids show up in full kits and they got shoes that I'm like, how much did you pay for those?
That story is so relatable. I remember so many times, going to secondhand stores and getting something for softball. And it's so expensive to play most sports. You can't just pick up anywhere you want and play or kick a ball. You need a glove, you need a floor, you need a hoop. But soccer, it's different.
Yeah, I loved how he brought up the fact that his first quote-unquote pair of soccer shoes were going to be these waffle stompers. I'll admit, I'm not familiar with that term. That's a little bit before my time. I looked it up. Those are freaking boots. Those are like hiking Pacific Northwest boots out there. And he was going to play soccer in that. Now, to be fair, I remember my first time getting a pair of quote-unquote soccer cleats. My parents went to Big Five. Hopefully you all know about Big Five in our region. And they didn't buy soccer shoes. They bought baseball cleats. Now, of course, baseball cleats are known for having a cleat at the very toe of the shoe. That's against the rules in soccer. You're not allowed to have that because that's a hazard. So the very first match of our little 5-year-old Pee-wee soccer, I get told I'm not allowed to play until that little cleat's removed. So my dad pulls out a pocket knife, whittles off this cleat, and sends me back out there with my baseball cleats.
Perfect. It worked.
It worked. And somehow I still played soccer for a very long time. I wasn't scared away. But I mean, that's soccer, right? You don't really need a whole lot. And even if you don't have the perfect shoes, you can still go out there and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love about his story. It makes soccer feel less like this giant global machine and more like something personal.
Totally. I mean, soccer does feel like this massive production, this mega event, if you will. It's a thing that feels huge in our world, right? Where there's constant talk about certain players and everything. But at the end of the day, this story brings it back to just a kid who just wants to play a game and have fun.
Exactly. And that is really the thread of this whole episode.
Because if access once meant finding a pair of shoes and a place to play, the question now is, what does access look like here today?
Maybe now it looks different. Maybe it looks like a public watch party. Maybe it looks like a family event. Maybe it looks like a library program, a museum activity, an indoor field, or a local shop where someone gets their first ball or their first pair of cleats.
Yeah, the point is soccer grows because people keep building ways into it.
And that matters in a World Cup year because not everyone is entering through the same door.
Totally. I mean, some people are lifelong fans.
Some are parents.
And some are just curious.
Some just want to know where they can go to be part of the atmosphere without spending a fortune, like me.
When I saw that not everyone's entering through the same door, something that I immediately thought about was like, soccer is one of the, I would say, rare sports where if your family doesn't have a whole lot, you can still get into it. It's becoming more challenging, but I'm just like trying to think of, are there any community engagement activities? And it'd be interesting to hear from our audience of if they're familiar with any opportunities for those that maybe don't have the same socioeconomic background. How can they get into this sport? Because sports are becoming more expensive. So how can they get into it?
We'd love to talk to people that are trying to grow soccer from the ground up here in Snohomish County and across Washington and see how they're navigating this with the costs and expenses that have come with sports and so many people wanting to get into them and advance. I essentially, baseball and softball have really gone away from the little league sense over here in the county and have kind of shifted over into being on select teams, and that's expensive. So love to hear how organizations are kind of filling the gap here.
And one part of access is practical. Can people actually get to where they need to go? Can they figure out the region? Can they participate without feeling shut out by logistics?
Alex Coe from Sound Transit gave us a useful version of that. First, he talked about how many opportunities there were for him to play at the recreational level growing up.
So I think I started playing when I was 4 or 5. My first team was called the Crazy Eights, and then I played through high school, but at the recreational level, which was amazing that there was so much opportunity there to be able to play. And yeah, it was a really formative experience. Our team would go on retreats like up to Crystal, and I feel like team sports are something that I have developed a lifelong love of because of. I still am an ardent fan of soccer, so I watch Premier League, Champions League, and MLS, and I really feel like the Northwest is a great location for soccer and to be a soccer fan. The other thing I'd say is that it's also something that is, something that ties my brother and I together. He lives down in San Diego, and he played professional soccer for a long time. And we went to the Club World Cup last year together. And so, yeah, it's a really nice family bond as well.
Honestly, that really resonated with me. I remember growing up, the pressure to have to get into a select soccer team as soon as you turn around the age of 11, 12, 13. And the fact that he had the opportunities to play recreationally all the way through high school, those are fantastic opportunities. That's access, not only transportation, which we'll hear from him in a little bit more in a second, but it's opportunity just to play the game throughout your childhood without feeling a pressure to have to pay a lot of money, spend a lot of time traveling to play ultimately a game for fun.
Absolutely. The Crazy Eights must have been really formative years for him. I love that name. But transportation matters too, especially when people from Snohomish County are trying to plug into a regional event this big.
So we will definitely have more security at almost all of our stations across the region. We are planning to have dedicated elevator and escalator technicians at some of our highest use stations, especially to make sure that we have that accessibility piece available at all times, because we know that that's going to be a really important part of the plan. We will have increased cleaning and facility maintenance during this time, and then we have a huge staff ambassador program that we're going to be rolling out during this time. So a ton of Sound Transit staff out there for wayfinding as it relates to getting to wherever the folks might need to go. And we're on the back end developing a whole bunch of things, maps and other informational pieces, so that when those folks are in the field, they feel equipped to be able to say, oh, you want to get to Boxcar Park, you should take the Sounder and then hop on the Everett Transit Route 6, or I believe Community Transit's also running a circulator route to get up there. So making sure that our teams are equipped with that knowledge, even if it isn't our service, to make sure that we're supporting fans and getting where they want to go. So soundtransit.org/soccer tournament is our landing page for all of this information, and we're in the midst of updating it. But yeah, I would say that soundtransit.org/soccer tournament, our local organizing committee, also has a plethora of information about traveling around the region. So I would also say that they're a great resource beyond the just Sound Transit world of transportation.
And there's so many organizations out there and government entities that are trying to make sure that we all have the best experience possible, whether we're going to the game, want to be around the game, or just trying to go grocery shopping like we've talked about. More buses are going to be running, more transit's going to be running. They got the Line 2 ready, and it's running, and they're so excited about it, and they're just going to keep growing. So they want to make it easier for you to get to the game, for you to have a great experience. So reach out, look things up, because they're trying to make it as simple as possible. I had a friend today, we're planning on going to the game on June 15th, and they actually expressed kind of some worry about getting there. They're from Marysville, and they're just like, hey, what time should we get there? Like, what is it going to be like? There's a lot of unknowns for where to enter, and Alex has given some pretty great advice on how to get there, what the best opportunity is. I know for us in Snohomish County, we need to get off at the Pioneer Square station, which is a little bit further away. I think there's going to be some really exciting things leading into the field from Pioneer Square, and it'll be a really fun couple blocks to the spot.
And ultimately, not every entry point has to be a stadium gate.
Absolutely. Some of the most important ones are local: public spaces, community organizations, family places, beginner-friendly spaces.
That's one of the reasons we're excited to keep building this episode thread, with upcoming conversations from places like Snow Isle Library, Imagine Children's Museum, Snohomish Sports Dome, and the Soccer Post.
Everyone's getting in on the action because those places help answer a simple question. How does a region tell people they are welcome?
Sometimes that's through history,
Sometimes with programming,
sometimes with a field,
sometimes with a watch party.
and sometimes with a first pair of shoes.
We also know this summer is going to create public gathering spaces closer to home. Everett's fan zone planning and waterfront watch party dates are one example of that.
Those are the kinds of places where people who may not have tickets can still feel the scale and the joy of this tournament.
And that matters because if this event is really going to belong to the region, people need ways to participate that feel local, visible, and doable.
So maybe that's the real story here.
Not just that the World Cup is coming,
But that this region has been building ways for people to get into soccer through many different ways of accessibility for a long time.
and now the question is how we keep widening those doors.
For those longtime fans,
For those first-time fans,
for the kids,
for families,
for people who have loved the game forever.
and for the people who are just now finding their way in.
I'm Kyle,
And I'm Emily. Thanks for listening to From Pitch to Puget Sound.
brought to you by the Snohomish Podcast Network.
If you know of a local place helping people connect to soccer this summer, we'd love to hear about it.
And if you've got a story about how you first found the game, send that our way too. As always, we'll see you out there on the pitch.
Quick note, this podcast is independent and not affiliated with or endorsed by FIFA or the FIFA World Cup.